December 3rd, 1963. No, actually, it's December 19th, 2024. Um, and I was cleaning up today, washed my hair, got a good shower. I was even out in the sun for a little while in the middle of winter. Sometimes when it gets up to 50 degrees, it's really nice to be in the sun in the winter. And I wasn't thinking of posting a video, but then sometimes you just get inspired to do something. And I thought, yeah, I should do something on history of the world or something like that. And then I thought, well, why not just what I'm thinking about? And I was thinking about JFK Jr. And I was asking myself the question: is JFK Jr. alive? John F. Kennedy Jr. alive? And a wonderful person from San Francisco. And it's kind of interesting, but being man of truth on YouTube, I've met, you know, I've got, I think, I know thousands of people that watch my videos, and some of them have become my friends. It's, I don't travel. I haven't traveled that much since I've been into this um, a ton. I've been in, I've asked myself that question seriously. I started asking it about 7 years ago because I was listening to YouTube late at night, and basically some conspiracy theorists were saying JFK Jr. This guy was acting like he was alive, and then I heard some people on the internet, and it sounded like it could be JFK Jr. And before that, I know tons of people have followed it and have been obsessed with it. But in my life, I didn't really get interested in it until about 2016, 2017. And then I became very interested in it. And then I did a lot of my own research. And I came to the conclusion that yes, he's still alive. So I use my common sense, I use my mind. I understand it's a conspiracy theory, but I found out there's a lot of other people that felt the same way. I met one guy on the internet from Boston, and his name was Jerry Foley. And so that's a question I'm going to ask and tell you what I'm thinking today on this beautiful day. Maybe being out in the sun and washing my hair and taking a good shower made me think about it. But I have a friend in San Francisco, and she knew I was interested in JFK Jr., and she sent me 3 magazines, and this is one of them. Look magazine, and the date is November 23rd, 1963. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I better this could get interesting for me. And I know there's other people that are interested in this topic, and there's actually, it seems like millions of people, obviously hundreds of millions of people loved John F. Kennedy, the president, when he was live and afterwards. I mean, they have the Kennedy silver dollar. There's stamps all over the world. I'm a stamp collector, and I was a vigorous stamp collector in my youth. So many countries would make beautiful stamps with John F. Kennedy on them, to commemorate him. So this wonderful lady, very pretty lady from San Francisco, sent me 3 of them. This is one of them. This cost 25 cents in 1963. There's a lesson on inflation, huh? And when I was a little boy, this is one of the main magazines that if your mom took you shopping, at Safeway or Lucky's Markets or something like that, then you'd see a magazine rack, and it would always have Look magazine on it, and Time magazine back then. But look, I guess Look, faded away. But I remember as a little boy seeing that magazine. It's kind of a cool word, Look. And so I thought I'd hold it right here, so that's the picture that kind of comes with me on the video. Look magazine from '63. And I started thinking about the dates, and the date on this is December 23rd, 1963. I thought, oh my gosh, did they do this because it was after the assassination uh, attempt or whatever? And getting kind of bizarre, but I think it doesn't talk about his assassination at all. And he was, so I thought I got to remember when he was assassinated. Um, So I asked Google. When was JFK assassinated? Silence. It wouldn't answer me. And I asked it 3 times, and Google would not answer me. Just silence. Oh no, it's not Google. Siri. I like Siri. She has a pleasant voice. It's AI. I asked Siri 3. She wouldn't answer me. So I thought, okay. So then I went to Google, and it said November 22nd, 1963 as the assassination date. And I thought, oh my gosh, this went out, and people were getting it right when the assassination attempt was made on John Fitzgerald Kennedy. So I thought, wow. So I'm very grateful to the lady that sent me this. It's got pictures of him under the desk, but I'm kind of doing my best to wear my Tiffany blue, and so I'm kind of just going to stay like this because I'm not as buffed as I was before all my experiences in the last 2 or 3 years. But I did lift weights yesterday. Not much, but a little bit. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Is John F. Kennedy Jr. still alive? I started finding out about it, because I just put it off as people talk about it. They like conspiracy theories. Is Elvis alive? If you go to Vegas, sometimes there's like 100 Elvises walking around. There's even Elvises in San Francisco. But I just wasn't, I'm focused on my life, doing my thing. But I remember I don't think I was living back east at the time, but I remember 1999 when John F. Kennedy Jr. supposedly got shot down on his way to Martha's Vineyard. And I thought that was very sad, but I thought, it's kind of par for the course. You got a very handsome guy running for Senate of New York. I think he was very popular. And I knew something. I studied his opponent in that senatorial race. So kind of at that point, I used to love to study, and I still do, conspiracies, which conspiracies is a real thing. It's some of the most interesting part of history. Is like in this Look magazine, it shows some people call him John crawling out the desk and said he had a secret door to his daddy's desk. And it kind of can break your heart a little bit because it shows him watching a helicopter fly in. He's 3 years old. And, the caption says that he knew Daddy was coming home because the helicopter was coming to land at the White House. Kind of heart-wrenching. So, let's go back to 1963. I was 7 years old. I lived in Argentina. Córdoba, Argentina, para ser preciso. I precisely lived in Córdoba, Argentina. It's a province in the middle, beautiful city, and in a little town called Villa Allende, which had a nice private golf course that my dad ended up joining. And I was out playing by the dirt road. I was a kid on the side of the road down there, and my mom comes running out of the house, screaming. And I'm 7. I've never heard my mom scream like that in my whole life. They killed our president. They killed the president. And she was, you try to just, things get emotional. But I remember my mom, she was completely hysterical. She's dead now. And I loved her. I was very close to her. And she, she used to admire Jackie Kennedy, and then women would follow that fashion. But she just was so hysterical. And I'm just like, whoa, I don't know. But, wow, exciting news from the United States or whatever. They killed the president. Wasn't following politics as a 7-year-old in Argentina. I'm more worried where I can buy alfajores and dulce de leche and, playing soccer, which you play 10 times a day in Argentina. But I remember my mother being hysterical when I was in Argentina on that day. So, I started getting really interested in this, and personally, about 2017, because I heard about it on the internet. And then I started studying it more and more, and it seems like it was a pretty widespread rumor widespread thing. And I thought, well, and then when I'd like to study history, what I really thought about, well, Martha's Vineyard, I'd been to Martha's Vineyard a couple times, beautiful island, and I thought, you know what? It's possible that maybe he fakes his death. And would there be reason to do that? I said, yeah, there would be reasons to do that because people didn't like him, and I think people didn't want him to be senator. And so he wasn't senator, even though he was a good looking Kennedy, a very good man, nice, who's been on TV shows, just a charming, nice guy. And handsome. People would call him the Bachelor of the Year and all that. But he seemed not to be stuck up in the least, just a nice guy. So I studied it more and more, and then there's this woman on the internet called Right Side Blonde. She's a real estate agent, and she was she was going to list a house, and she had to clean out the basement, and she found a stack of George magazines in the basement. Which George magazine was a magazine that John F. Kennedy Jr. did like in the 1990s, kind of provocative, I would call it. And she read a bunch of them, and then she would start talking about it, and then she would have guests, and you'd see her on the internet, and she's a very intelligent woman, and you could just see the way sometimes when she's looking around and thinking about a question, because she'll be interviewing with two or three people, she asks the right, incisive questions. A lot of people, when they're interviewing people, they don't. But it was, if you watch her videos, she, they're kind of teaser videos because, you know, I don't know if she's met him or not. Maybe she has. But then you find out later on that John, JF Kennedy Jr., he liked acting. So maybe he did act. Maybe he does wear a mask sometimes. So all of this kind of makes sense to me. And here I am, I'm becoming a lot healthier real fast. And yeah, I thank all the people that watch me on YouTube and Telegram and Rumble for praying for me. Because I know I say it, but it's just still kind of present because about 7 months ago I was almost dead, and I just knew I couldn't die. I'm not ready to go yet. I'm probably way too much of a sinner. I'm not ready to meet Jesus. Say, okay, you kind of effed up in your life. You should have done better things. I feel sometimes I do some things, and somebody has something like a word today. I saw it on the internet. Flavulous. Try to feel good about yourself even though you're not perfect. And I struggle with that. I have a lot of confidence because I'm good at almost anything I try, but at the same time, everybody has their insecurities. But I really believe at this point in time, the markets, crashed yesterday and then they were up 300. I think it's only up 35 today. So I'm an economist, and I'm somebody that loves to study history, and so this to me is studying history, and it's if you really kind of want to get into history, if somebody's nice, if you can find a magazine like this from 1963, and then you read through it, and this is when Bobby Fischer, about the time he was about to beat no, I don't, no. He was already a great chess player. He beat Spassky when I was in high school, I think 1973, 74, around there, 72 or 73. And Bobby Fischer became super famous. I think about Bobby Fischer because that was going on when I was in high school. And, but when I was a little boy, my mom went hysterical. Now I'm an older man, 68 years old. 68 years old. My birthday's in April. And you get some perspective when you're 68 and you've traveled around the world. And I've got to go to school, at Brigham Young in Provo, and then back at Harvard in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And the Kennedys are famous. I mean, they're famous all over the world. But when you're around Harvard, there's actually a school there. It's called Kennedy School of Government. And I was living back there when Ted Kennedy was a senator. And my stepfather's Republican, but he voted for Ted Kennedy because he said, look, he brings a lot money back to Massachusetts. But I would just say my personal belief, and it's strong, is that JFK Jr. is alive. And I think if you research it and are honest with yourself, the evidence points in that direction. And I think if you also think real deeply, well, did he fake his death? Why would he fake his death? Ask yourselves those questions. Did he fake his death? Why would he fake his death? And if he faked his death, how is his life going to be afterwards? Is he going to still say, hey, I faked my death, but I'm still walking around the streets of New York City? No, he would have to go underground, be hidden for years. But wouldn't that be pretty cool if he's actually still alive and he was hidden and working behind the scenes to do what his father wanted to do, which is basically have an honest economy? Since I'm an economist, I know it sounds boring, but in the end, how an economy runs, which means what kind of money you use, because the person that controls the money for the United States or the world, they control you whether you know it or not. Not 100%, so you shouldn't be hung up on money, but they control the economy. They can do this, and if they run the central bank, they can push a button and crash the economy, manipulate the economy, all kinds of things. But I think for me, it's fun, entertaining, and it brings me joy to study this subject because I believe he's alive. And sometimes I meet people that are such good men that they just exude this kind of pure love. They're just loving people. They're nice. They're thoughtful. Whether or not, and they don't do it for public show. They're just thoughtful. Whether they're rich or poor. And it doesn't really matter whether you're rich or poor in God's eyes. We're all here for a reason, in my estimation. And so, with my spirit of discernment, I believe he's alive. And I think at some point, I think there's a lot of people that kind of feel like I do. They've investigated it. They looked at the evidence. It's pretty easy to do now with the internet. But if you really want to feel it, for me, buying this magazine, no, this wonderful woman sent it to me. Looking through this magazine, I look at everything. The cigarette, everybody's smoking. It's super healthy. And it's, back then, that's what they're saying. It's just fascinating. I read it from cover to cover. And I think if you want to have a happier life, study this subject. And when it comes true, because in my soul, it's not a question of if it comes true, it's when it comes true. I think there's probably people that still want to take him out, and I would be like super duper sad if he died like 1 or 2 years ago or something. But I think he lived for years and years, and I hope and pray that he's alive right now at this time. Maybe he has a beard and he's older and stuff like that, but I would just be thrilled to know with even more certainty that he's still alive. But I feel it in my heart. I believe it. Got an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree, and I love books. I have thousands of books, and I spend most of my time reading. I love to read. I think he's alive, but come to your own conclusions. If he is, and we find out for sure, because sometimes you can't completely trust what you see on TV, right? We should have a celebration celebrating that he's still alive and celebrate the Kennedys, the live Kennedys, because there are a lot of really good Kennedys. There was one that was actually a leader of the Mormon Church for a while. I believe his name was David Kennedy, and I have a book on him. That's pretty darn fascinating. Okay, well, good luck, have fun. God lives, and I think that little boy is still alive. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.